Hello everyone, we're here at the Norisring, perfect weather, blue skies. We're super psyched to be here. And yeah, it's the fourth round in the DTM, and the man who is leading the championship is Matteo Cairoli. He is only 1 point ahead of Engel and Auer. And yeah, this shows you how super tight the DTM is. And we love the Norisring because this is the place where precision work is demanded in regards to the barrier and the walls, of course. You don't want to go kissing those walls here. And yeah, Matteo Cairoli, as I said, he's actually the man who only won 2 races in the DTM by now. And yeah, leader of the championship, as I already mentioned. He's already sitting in the car. He's all focused. He's all ready to go out in the qualifying. And also, this is interesting because the Norisring is so super tight. The qualifying is actually split into 2, into Group A and Group B. And Cairoli will be going out in Group A, and he cannot wait to get started with the qualifying. Same here, by the way. That's why here the commentators. Enjoy. See you later.
Thank you very much, Verena. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what is the highlight of the DTM calendar. Can you believe it? We're approaching the halfway point of the season, round 4, and we are in the streets of Nuremberg, and we are really looking forward to this. It's the 26th time that the DTM has been here at the Norisring. It's the 37th and 38th DTM race ever to have been staged here. The drivers are getting ready. There's Jules Gounon, reaction training, everything now focused on this qualifying session. As Verena already mentioned, something a little bit different to what we're used to the rest of the year round in DTM. The qualifying is going to be in 2 groups. So yesterday we had 2 free practice sessions, and the fastest driver in free practice combined was Ben Durr with a 48.793. The times from all the drivers were combined after the free practice sessions, and the drivers who are quickest, the driver who was quickest, the driver who was 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and all the other odd numbers go into Group A. The even numbers go into Group B. Tomorrow, it'll be Group B who do the qualifying first. Today, it will be Group A. I hope that's reasonably clear. Whoever is quickest out of those 2 groups today will start on pole position, and the remainder of that group will line up behind them on that row. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all shakes out, because with the sun shining, it is glorious here with the crowd pouring into the Norisring. The track is arguably going to get quicker and quicker as the sessions go on, as more rubber is laid down. So, in theory, the drivers in Group B will have the quicker conditions. Well, Jordan Pepper turned that idea on its head last year when he set a new track record here, a quali record of 48.467. It takes a bit of getting used to. This is a short circuit. A 48-second lap is roughly what we're looking at. It is just 2.162 kilometers around, with 5 turns, 4 of them to the left and 1 to the right, running in an anti-clockwise direction. Also, a very tricky surface. Primarily tarmac, a little bit of concrete and paving, but of course these are public roads. They are very bumpy. There are drains, there are drain covers. There's all sorts of little surprises for the drivers as they head around this circuit. So at the moment, they're climbing on board their cars, and the cars are getting pulled out into the pit lane here as part of the 83rd International ADAC Norisring Speed Weekend. It is a circuit that is nicknamed the Franconian Monaco, as Germany's only street circuit, and as I've mentioned already, an absolute highlight of the calendar. The benchmark yesterday, well, in FP1 it was Maro Engel who was quickest with a 49.202, and then in FP2 it was Ben Durr, still on a high after his first ever win at the Lausitzring last time out, who set the fastest time in the McLaren of 48.793, but hot on his heels is Lucas Auer. He was second in in free practice combined times. And third, Jules Gounon, who's looking for a little bit of good luck after what has been a fairly difficult start to the season. Keep an eye on fourth place, Nicky Tim. He was fourth in all the free practice sessions yesterday, the combined times, and he will be very much a contender because his one and only win in the DTM has come here at the Norisring. And he will be looking to repeat that. It was a couple of years ago, and he would dearly love to repeat that on a circuit where his dad once won a race in the DTM as well. Right, well, the cars are out on track, so time to introduce ourselves. You'll notice that Chris Hartley is absent from proceedings this weekend. He's at Silverstone doing work there. So it's Brian Oliver here on lead commentary for this weekend, and alongside me, I'm very, very excited to welcome a winner of the Le Mans 24-hour race, a driver who knows what it's like to race in DTM. It's a very good morning to Norisring.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, very great to be here. Looking forward to see it from the other side of the track and watch the qualifying and give some expertise or knowledge that I might have.
Brilliant. Well, I have to say, it's been great having you here. Morris was alongside me, if you didn't hear, yesterday in free practice 1 and free practice 2. I've learned so much sitting alongside you for commentary. This is my kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have you here to ask all the questions. Then I can sound like an expert when we get to the next round at Oschersleben in a couple of weeks' time. So, at the moment, this is a weird qualifying session, isn't it? And we were just talking about it before you came on air, and you were here last year racing at this event. Were you in the first group or the second group?
I was in the second group, and basically what you see now is that due to the fact that they do the first group, that the track is going to ramp up for group 2, like you mentioned. At the moment, all drivers are doing their so-called cooking lap. So what they are doing, as you could nicely see with the onboard of Marco Wittmann, is they're dragging the brakes to basically get some temperature into them, that the tire can basically soak up and gain some core temperature before they head out and push it on the surface temp.
So we've spoken about the heat soak sequence before, so it's really interesting, and you spoke about this yesterday. It's not just about heating the tires on the outside, it's doing it from the inside. And I was not aware of the dragging of the brakes, and that must put a lot of wear and tear on the actual braking system when they're doing that. So that must be a consideration in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, in general, this is the case in racing, but you can always overdo it, and too much of anything is not good. So you have to be careful that you don't get the brakes too high too fast, because then the material can glaze, or it can get cracks in the discs or whatever. So the guys have to be careful. But also nowadays in the GT3 cars, they have great sensors that also instruct them and tell them what they have to do and where their temperature is at. So they have some good aids also to avoid making mistakes. Nevertheless, also if you're a good driver, you can really make a difference here if you manage to get your tires in the window when it matters. It's going to be quite interesting here because the lap is so short, so we will see lots of laps being completed, and every lap they will maybe find a few hundredths here and there. It's only 4 corners, which on one hand makes it an easy track, but it also means you have to nail those 4, because if you don't, someone else will.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday with the field so closely packed together in terms of times. So do you feel as though where we've seen in previous events the cars coming out and doing effectively that lap to generate the heat and then going back into the pits, you think there's going to be a lot more action out on track throughout the whole session maybe?
Yes, and I think there's also going to be some split strategies, which we already see playing out now. As you can see, there's 3 cars already setting lap times, and to me it looks like the Mercedes are both just pushing on straight away. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what option everyone is going for. Yeah, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of driver evolution lap after lap, and since the tires will not have such a big fall off of the cliff that they usually might have, it might be beneficial to keep running. So it's going to be a very interesting session to follow.
Yeah, it really is, and it's really fascinating to get your insight. So we've got 3 cars out on track at the moment, and it is Jules Gounon that we see coming towards us. So we mentioned the 2 groups, Group A and Group B, and that, in theory, the drivers in Group B will have the quicker track today, but tomorrow, Group A will go second, so they will, in theory, have the quicker conditions. I did take a little look at the weather forecast last night. Originally, the forecaster said there might be some rain today. Well, that certainly doesn't look like it's a possibility. But tomorrow is looking distinctly sketchy. I have to say, there is a very high chance of some rain tomorrow. And that might change things completely, because not only could it be cooler conditions, but it could be all that lovely rubber that has been laid down over the last day or so could all be washed away, couldn't it?
Definitely. And as we have a street track, there might be some oil or dirt that pops up anywhere. So it's going to be quite interesting for them, and I'm not sure if everyone is comfortable with the fact that it will rain. I think for us in the commentary booth, it will be quite fun to watch.
Yes, absolutely, particularly because we got a roof over our head here, which is very nice indeed. One of the things I was reading last night, in these hot conditions, it was hot yesterday, and by my reckoning, it feels even hotter today. It feels like the temperature's really building. It seemed that quite a few cars were struggling with overheating brakes around here. Certainly Ferrari, Porsche, BMW appeared to be struggling with overheating brakes. Is that something that you think is quite common here at the Norisring, or is that particular to the new evolution some of these cars are in?
I think it's a bit of both, but definitely the track characteristic doesn't really help, because there's no airflow here. Since you see all the walls, even on the straights, everything is quite packed, so there's not a lot of air going through the system. So also during the race, we will see quite often that cars who are in the train, they will pull out on the straight to gather some fresh air into the whole system. Yeah, it will be still hot air, but anything will do, I guess.
Yeah, any air will do. Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, with 13 and a quarter minutes remaining in this session, you can already see there are a handful of cars out on track, but now the pit lane is starting to come alive a lot earlier than we've come to expect in DTM quali, rather than leaving it to the last 5 minutes. As Morris has already predicted, drivers are going to be out there for a little bit longer. At the moment, Mauro Engel is the quickest at 50.155, but even in these cooler, earlier morning conditions, I think it's reasonable to assume we're going to get well into the 49s, maybe into the 48s.
I'm expecting that we go into 48s. I think we can see with both Mercedes, they're slowly building it up. And also Mauro is pushing on, always on the purple sectors, also compared to Jules Gounon. So it seems like he's building it up a little bit more quicker than Jules. It's going to be interesting to see if this is the way to go, or to go with the cooking lap. But at the moment, 49.6 is already quite fast with 12 minutes to go. So let's see where it ends up, as we also see the 2 green cars in this group, the BMW of Marco Wittmann and the Porsche of Ricky Feller, our 24 Hours of Spa winner, actually. Big congrats to them, together with Thomas Preining and Bastien Buus. So they're peeling onto the track, and now it's also going to be about finding your gap and being able to push from your first lap on and not having to back off anymore.
Yeah, what an emotional weekend that was. Congratulations, Thomas Preining, Ricardo Feller, Bastien Buus, representing the DTM big time in the Spa 24-hour race in grueling conditions. I think you'll agree. Morris would certainly agree, as he was part of that. And now Mauro Engel goes even quicker. He's down to 49.16 already. So I imagine that the teams and drivers in Group B are going to be looking at this, and they will learn from the strategy here, whether the cooking lap or whether it's going in, waiting, staying out, whatever the strategy, they're going to be learning from that as they look at this group, I imagine.
Definitely, although I do think most of the guys will have a plan and they will stick to it. Still, it's interesting to see maybe for tomorrow what the competition is doing. For sure, as a driver doing the qualifying, being in the second group is quite nice, because you can see what the track condition is like, what the lap times are like. If you see guys making a common mistake in one of the corners, you know maybe there's a tailwind into turn 1, or there's whatever. But it will be the opposite for tomorrow. So this is quite nice. It's quite a level playing ground, and the benefit of today will be a benefit for the other guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, we got two cars into the 49s now because in the last few moments, Ben Durr, yesterday's headline act, has popped up into P2. He took that emotional win on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, last time out, fortnight ago at the Lausitzring, it was Matteo Cairoli. You can see him there on the left-hand side of your picture. He took his second win of the season and moved to the top of the point standings. Matteo, it's his first appearance here at the Norisring in 11 years. He was last here in Porsche Carrera Cup, and he said that since he's been here, he reckons the walls have moved in a little bit. It's a bit narrower. I don't know how he can remember that in 11 years, but he certainly was looking good yesterday. Ferrari looking pretty reasonable here around the streets of Norisring. So Matteo Cairoli will be looking to extend that championship. Just while we have a moment before the clock gets into the really critical part, just to remind you of the championship standings, it's Matteo Cairoli who leads with 78 points. Mauro Engel, Lucas Auer, though, are joint second, just 1 point behind, always close in the DTM. But keep an eye on Marco Wittmann in fourth place. He's 7 points back from them, and he lives just down the road in Fürth. He's there in the green and white BMW. Just saw him briefly on your picture there. BMW didn't look to have that much pace yesterday, but there may have been an element of them just playing it easy, not pushing too hard. So maybe something a bit better from BMW today?
I would expect so. Usually you see in the race they always find a way to fight to the front. Qualifying seems to be their Achilles heel, so let's see how they will handle that today. But definitely we will see them on these straights. They're always rather strong, so let's see how that plays out. For them now it's going to be all about optimizing their difficult point in quali, as we also see Finn Wiebelhaus pushing on, already knocking on the door of the green Porsche of Ricardo Feller. Yeah, it's all about getting the tires into the window for these guys, and it's quite different each car how they prepare them, but Finn definitely seems to be strong early on as he sets the fastest time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Finn Wiebelhaus up to the top.
There is something in the rear. I feel a big vibration.
Interesting. So Finn sounds like he's got some kind of vibration. It's not slowing him down though, is it? He's almost into the 48, so 49.009. So we're getting there with 8 minutes remaining. Who is going to be the first into the 48s? Well, I think Ben Durr quite fancies that. He was the best of anybody in Sector 2, although his Sector 1 was not a million miles off the quickest time either. So this is going to be a good one for Ben Durr as he circulates at the moment and does go to the top. 49.009 was Ben Durr. Finn Wiebelhaus was 49.020. So Ben Durr looking to improve on that. Mauro Engel in third. Jules Gounon into the pits at the moment. Matteo Cairoli quite late coming out, but he's now out on track as well, setting personal best. But now with less than 7.5 minutes remaining, this is where it gets quite critical. We don't know whether we're fighting for pole position or for P2. We're looking for a driver who's going to start on the front row. To remind you, whoever's the quickest out of Group A compared to Group B, that group will start on the pole position side of the track. Faster driver on pole, the rest of that group are behind. Right, Finn Wiebelhaus, purple in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. Just a fraction of the absolute best in Sector 2. So this could look good for Finn Wiebelhaus. He's into Sector 3 at the moment in the Disco Snell. Across the line he comes, the first into the 48, so 48.810. Right, Jules Gounon under investigation for impeding in car 11. That's Marco Wittmann at turn 2. So that could be a problem, couldn't it? As Ben Durr now goes to the top of 48.698. So that was quicker than his quickest time yesterday. So at the moment, Ben Durr carrying on from where he was yesterday and now to the top of the timing screens. But Finn Wiebelhaus is responding. That Mustang's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, they're really on it. And also you see Finn getting close to the walls now. This is crunch time in quali. It's going to be the important last 6 minutes to decide either pole position or P2. And you see that all the guys are quite on it. Also Ricardo Feller getting up into 8th position. It's the important bit now.
Yeah, absolutely. So with less than 6 minutes remaining, the one they're all chasing is Ben Durr, 48.698. But Mauro Engel, Mr. Consistency, had a fairly difficult time at the Lausitzring by his standards. But apart from that, has been really there all season long and right at the top of the championship hunt. Meanwhile, Thierry Vermeulen goes quickest of anybody in Sector 1. So the Ferrari starting to come on as well. A personal best in Sector 2. That is represented by the green box. Maro Engel crosses the line in P3. So that would be a third row start if things remain as they are. But still plenty to go. The times are starting to increase. We've now got 5 cars into the 48. Bender is the quickest. Thierry Vermeulen up to second. Finn Wiebelhaus in third. Maro Engel in fourth. Luca Engstler in the Temerario in 6th place because Matteo Cairoli has just jumped up there as well. So less than 5 minutes remaining. Here comes Bender across the line again.
Yeah, and let's keep an eye on Matteo as he was the last car to exit the box. And it looks like he's building up his pace more gradual, but looking at the pace of Thierry, the car seems in a good window. So let's keep an eye on our championship leader and where he might end up later.
Yeah, so interesting strategy, leaving it late. Of course, the risk of that is if there is a problem, if there's some kind of caution or a red flag in the closing stages of quali, if you're leaving it till late to do your big push lap, then you obviously risk losing that, don't you?
Yeah, but you also have the possible upside of having the best track conditions. So it's always the risk reward, and you also have to put some gambling at the Norisring.
It's interesting, with just 11 cars on the track as Maro Engel now goes the best of anybody in Sector 2. At the Norisring, even though it's only 11 cars on track, it feels like they're still having to work quite hard to find a bit of space.
Yeah, for sure. You saw Bender also knocking on the door on one of the Lamborghinis as Maro Engel goes to P2. So although there's 2 groups, still you can see that some cars are rather close behind each other, as also Ricardo Feller is behind Thierry at the moment. And it's important now to have a good track position because the last few laps are going to be the important ones.
So 3.5 minutes remaining, part 1 of quali. You're getting 2 for the price of 1 here at the Norisring this weekend as we look at Jules Gounon. He's currently in P5 at the moment. He's done personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2 last time around. This time around, he hasn't improved. So Jules Gounon was looking good yesterday, but at the moment, if things remain as they are, he will be starting on the 5th row of the grid. Right, that's the view from Marco Wittmann in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. All the Wittmann fans had a moment there. He's on
so we have now 5 flying laps to go. 5 flyers to go.
Okay, so 5 flying laps. So give it everything, Marco. That's what they're saying. And his numerous fans and flans from down the road in Fürth will be packing onto the terraces and cheering the green and white BMW. Always has a very vocal fan club. So he's got 5 laps to do something about his grid position. At the moment, he's on row 10, which is not good. Meanwhile, Bender goes purple again in Sector 2. Sector 3, Finn Wiebelhaus is the quickest of anybody. So, again, Durr and Wiebelhaus appear to be trading purples, but right in the middle is Maro Engel, not really setting purples, but just consistent across all 3 sectors.
Which is also important as a championship guy, as we also saw Bender really creeping up to the Lamborghini and getting a tow and also improving his best lap time. So we're now eclipsing the lap time of Jordan Pepper with the 48.4. So we're really getting close to a new track record, which is also great to see. And now you see also how much Bender...
I don't know what's going on with the sheetbox. Porco Dio.
Apologies for the language there. My Italian is not great, but I think I got the message.
That was not Italian.
Well, I do have an Italian teammate in IMSA actually, and he uses the same wording, so I could understand a bit.
You know what he meant. Brilliant. Okay, well, Bender went purple. You were in the middle of saying something there. That completely threw us, didn't it? So Bender, right, 48.477. As you've already alluded to, he is 100th off the quali record here around the Norisring. Are we going to break Jordan Pepper's 48.467? To do that in Group A would be quite impressive. Say Jordan Pepper, if I remember rightly, last year he was quickest and he was in Group A. Group B did not go any quicker, so it doesn't always play out as the script suggests. At the moment, Bender in a really solid place, and we mentioned this yesterday. When you've had that first win, sometimes that can give you that real confidence boost, and suddenly Bender is just always there, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks to be absolutely flying, being the only one below the 48.5 mark and improving lap after lap. As we see Maro also improving his lap time. Ooh, he goes to P1.
Wow.
So it's very close at the moment. Only 14 thousandths splitting the top two.
And Maro Engel now sets a new quali record here around the Norisring. He's beaten Jordan Pepper's 48.467, only just 48.463 for Maro Engel. So Mr. Consistency once again doing his championship chances no harm at all. Whether it is a pole or whether it is an outside front remains to be seen. Of course, we've still got time left. Finn Wiebelhaus crosses the line. He's the last to cross the line before the checkered flag comes out. So now any drivers that are on a lap, that lap will count as long as they cross the line before the clock struck 0. But I don't see anybody improving. So can it be that Maro Engel, as he often does nowadays in the closing stages of quali, has set his fastest time at 48.463. I'm looking to see if there's any improvements at all. Jules Gounon up to the 3rd row at the moment. He did a personal best in sector 1, but there's no further improvements there. So I think that is where we're going to get to. Maro Engel quickest ahead of Ben Durr, Jules Gounon, Finn Wiebelhaus, and Thierry Vermeulen. So that will be row 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because we're going to get the next group out in a minute, and then we'll find out whether this is going to be pole position or whether this is going to be second on the grid. What a great job from Maro Engel, and he's just so cool, isn't he? He just gets it done without any drama, doesn't he?
Yeah, and as we said at the beginning of the session, apparently his strategy of leaving the box basically from the moment the green flag dropped and driving until the end seemed to work. I'm quite impressed that he could improve even in the last 2 laps while having so many laps on the tire, because with others we already saw a slight drop in performance. So the boys at Windward did a good job, and I think the strategy is something they will stick for tomorrow.
Absolutely. You can see how close it was. So 9/10 of a second separating the top 11. Marco Mappelli with that 9/10 gap to the fastest time. So Maro Engel, Ben Durr, Jules Gounon, Finn Wiebelhaus, Thierry Vermeulen, as you saw just now, Matteo Caroli, Luca Engsler, Nicola Bart, just getting on with it there in 8th place. Ricardo Feller in 9th. I think he'll be disappointed with that. Marco Wittmann in 10th, so a long way back, row 10, Marco Mappelli. So they will have a bit of work to do there on a circuit that's not so easy to overtake on. So this lot will come into the pits. We'll have a moment to breathe, and then we get to do it all again with Group B. So the Norisring, it is on the streets of Nuremberg. We're in the city. Just a useless bit of information. Norris is an old 17th century name for the city, named in the hope that it would avoid confusion with the Nürburgring. I've had that conversation so many times. Many visitors still make the trip here expecting to find the Nordschleife nestling in between the tribunes. No, that's about 3.5 hours in another direction, but it is a great place to come to. Always very welcomed in the circuit. We always get a massive crowd. We always well in excess of 100,000 people here on the terraces and in the grandstands. Right, let's have a look there on board with Marco Wittmann. So the local driver from Fürth in the BMW. Some lovely slow-mos are there as he was hustling it around the streets. Look how close to the barrier he gets. The wing mirrors stayed intact, but that's about as close as you're ever going to get there, isn't it?
I think he got a bit more than close. Oof,
So did he.
A big hit from the Lamborghini. He was saying the car didn't turn anymore. Maybe, I don't know if it was before or after this hit, because definitely it didn't help.
Yes!
But you have to. This is what you have to do on a street track. You have to get close and personal, and otherwise you did not push the limit. But this definitely doesn't help for the performance of the car.
Well, that's the man who stole the headlines in the first qualifying session. It was Rick Mears who said there are 2 kinds of race drivers, those who have hit the wall and those who are going to hit the wall. And I guess that is probably the case here at the Norisring as we look at lovely slow-mo of the first driver to go to the top of the timing screens. And certainly some very satisfied looking faces in the Windward Racing garage. In Durr Motorsport, well, it looked like it was going to be Ben Durr until the closing stages, and Maro Engel was like, well, hold my drink, let me show you how it's done. So in the gap here now, we welcome, see in the background there, all the green colours for the Marco Wittmann fans. They come out in their droves here at the Norisring. So Mauro Engel now, walking alongside Oliver Runske from the ADAC. He will go to a shady corner somewhere and will probably be staring at the timing screen to see whether he is going to be pole or second on the grid, because Lucas Auer, Nicky Tim, Mirko Borzalotti, Max Powell, Tom Callender, Arjun Maini, Timo Glock, Kelvin van der Linde, Thomas Preining and Bastian Boos are all about to head out onto the track to try and relieve Mauro Engel of that pole position. I've said it a couple of times already, but to remind you, the quickest of Group A and Group B, just the quickest drivers will be compared. The quickest of those two groups will go onto pole position, and the remainder of their group will be behind them. Now look at that, there's quite a bit of wind there, isn't there? Does that have an effect? Before we do that, we're just going to head down to Verena in the pit lane. We'll ask you about the wind in a moment. Back down to Verena.
And I'm here with Ben Durr. Ben, yesterday in free practice, you were already fastest. Now you're in row 2, so you're pretty happy about the qualifying result?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, unfortunately, it's super close to P1. So, yeah, but anyway, I think we made mega steps here at the Norisring if we look back to the last 2 years. So I think we can be happy with the P2 now in the group. Yeah, we made mega improvements. I brought a lap together today, so I'm happy with the result.
All right, looking forward to the race. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Verena, and congratulations to Ben Durr, because that is a solid job as now Group B head out onto the track. I was about to ask you about wind before we headed down to the pits. Does that have that much effect on a circuit that is as enclosed as this?
It might have a bit of a less effect just because of the walls, like you mentioned, but still it can catch you out for turn 1. I mean, these guys are all going to the absolute limit, and if you do so, then you also have to take the wind into account.
Okay, let's head back down into the pit lane where Verena's got more news for us.
And I've got Mauro Engel here, who's now the leader of the championship again, and you're row 1. So excited about that?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Good start to the weekend. Let's see what Group 2 can do, but for sure it's always good to be on the front row. Hopefully it's enough for pole.
And hopefully it's a good omen, because you live in Monaco. This is a German Monaco. And also being the championship leader, I mean, everything sounds really promising.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's more important to start in the front. That's what we're most happy about. So it's going to be a good starting position, that's for sure. Looking forward to the race. It's always a special one here.
Absolutely, looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Always chilled, always ready is Mauro Engel, just there or thereabouts. It's such consistency, and he will be looking to take his first ever win around the streets of Nuremberg. We have 3 previous winners. One of them was in the last group. That was Marco Wittmann. He won here in 2018. The other 2 are in this group, and one in particular we're keeping an eye on, because Thomas Preining has won here 3 times. Nicky Tim won once, and that was back in 2024, but 3 wins for Thomas Preining. And as a former teammate of Thomas Preining at Manthey Racing, Morris, you must, I mean, you just have nothing but respect for him around a place like this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's such an established driver, and in the DTM he definitely knows what he's talking about. He's in his happy environment, and on his good day he's very hard to beat. So I'm definitely also happy for him winning Spa, so he has some good momentum, as do Ricardo Feller and Bastien Buus. Let's see. Yesterday seemed to be a bit of a struggle for them. Let's hope they can turn it around for today. A lot can happen in these races, so I'm going to be very excited to see them.
I know you'll be cheering him on, and quite rightly, but he's got a lot of competition around him. Lucas Auer is in this group as well. He had some traumas yesterday in free practice, which we didn't actually see on screen, as we see Bastien Buus coming in now for that heat-soaked sequence. But yesterday, Landgraf released the Lucas Auer car with the right front not properly attached. Fortunately, Lucas was able to stop at the end of the pit lane. The team did pick up a €500 fine, but fortunately the wheels stayed attached and they were able to get the car back to safety and sort it out. But it just shows you how much pressure everybody is under here. It's not just the drivers, the teams are under insane amount of pressure, aren't they?
Yeah, and a mistake is easily made, especially one like that. It's quite difficult to get everything done in a proper way, and a small mistake can happen. As we also see, what's quite interesting here, the mechanics are pushing the car back and forth to make sure the tires are not stated in the same position, because the brakes cannot overcook in one position. So they're always shaking the car a bit back and forward. It might look a bit weird, but there's a theory behind.
Well, that answers a question. I've often wondered, see, I should have just asked you in the first place. That is fascinating. So that is why they're rolling the car backwards and forwards. The thinking of the bigger picture and the brakes especially. That is crazy. So there's the Dürr Motorsport crew who were in the pits. Timo Glock, of course, in the other of the Dürr Motorsport McLarens. And he will be looking for a bit of success, because if there is a ladder to be walked under, he seems to be doing it at every possible opportunity, because he's had nothing but bad luck for the last couple of years, and that luck is going to turn soon, and we're going to see Timo Glock on the podium. But it's got to get through qualifying first, and here at the Norisring. Now, Norisring, we have that incredibly long stretch. So out of the Dutzendijk curve, which is turn 4, we have a small kink in the straight, which is called turn 5 by some. Most people call this a 4-corner track, but there is a turn 5, that bit there, that is taken flat out. But when you look at the run from turn 4 down to turn 1, it's a mega long stretch. So there is a kind of a slipstream effect here, isn't there?
For sure, and I think turn 1 is also the biggest overtaking opportunity. Although you have to be mindful, as we see the exit here, it's not that big. On the left there's even a bit of gravel, so you have to think about each other if you plan to move. But for me, going into turn 1 and going into turn 4 are the places that you can do something. It's also very interesting to see now, as we said, the strategy of the Mercedes is definitely to go out straight away and just keep driving around, as also Tom Callender and Luigi Auer are doing the same. It seems to be something that they planned beforehand, and it seems to work for them. Let's see if we see another Mercedes on top, and then we can have a battle of the star going into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, the different strategies amongst the different brands. Tom Callender, 51 at the moment, still got a few seconds to find there. But of course, Mustang, we talked about last year, the Ford Mustang, that was the opposite. They got the tyres into the window too quickly, and tyre degradation was an issue. Here for the Norisring, it is just 3 sets of tyres that the teams are allowed to use for each car. So 1 less than we have for places like Red Bull Ring, Zandvoort, Sachsenring, as we look at the aforementioned Mustang of Arjun Maini. But you were saying yesterday, tyre degradation, not so much of an issue here, but I imagine if tyre degradation is not an issue, then getting the tyres into the window is logically connected to that. It's going to be harder to get them up to temperature.
Absolutely, and that's also why we saw, and why I was also sounding quite surprised that Maro was able to improve in one of his last laps after 20 minutes of driving. And on a normal track you would never see that, no. But it shows that the tire degradation is quite low here. For the race it means they can push a lot, so physically I think it's also going to be a demanding race, because if the tire is not falling off, it means you can always keep pushing and you have to be on top every lap. As we also see that Tom Callender is picking up the pace a little bit now, and some other cars are also peeling off the pits into the track, as we see Timo Glock and Bastian Buus doing their preparation laps. Yeah, and as I said, since it's so difficult to get the tire up to temperature, leaving the box early is actually quite beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, across the line comes Tom Callender, 49.3, so the first into the 49s. I wonder whether Timo Glock was in front of him there, whether that slowed his progress somewhat, because Timo, at a different part of his strategy, was in front much longer. We've still got 10 3/4 minutes remaining of this session. Callender continues to increase the pace, goes purple again in Sector 1, so he's clearly going to be the first to really make the most and take the most out of the tyres, although it's Sector 2, 15.1. That was not a million miles off the absolute best in that time, but certainly not the best that he has done. But now track's starting to get busy. We've got every car out on track, everybody looking for space. There's Arjun Maini just weaving. He's still looking for that first win, and we saw him with a great battle with his teammate Finn Wiebelhaus at the Lausitzring last time around, but that first win still yet to come. But it's all about the qualifying. Right, replay here. How close did Tom Callender get to the wall? A little too close, I'd say.
Yeah, that's quite a big hit, especially early on in the session. This will definitely not help him. And it's from memory, he did the same last year actually out of this corner, so it seems to be one of his places. But yeah, definitely not ideal. Still pushing on and improving his sectors. So the car is still somewhat okay, but the last percent is maybe out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a whack to take for a precision instrument that is one of these cars. Out of turn 3, we've mentioned it before, you see it's tarmac and then it goes on to paving slabs, and that must be quite difficult because when I walked around the track day before yesterday, there's just so much less grip on that paving slab. So you come out of the chicane, the Scholar S, turn 3, on the tarmac and you're sliding out, and that must be so easy for the car to just step out and hit the wall.
Definitely, you need to have the car basically angled in the right direction before you go onto this paving slabs, as you call it, because otherwise you're just a passenger and you cannot really turn a lot there. But as we see, Tom is still improving, putting a purple sector in sector 2 and getting close to the sub 49 second mark at the moment, which is still close to 6/10 slower than Maro's pole time. So we still have a lot to expect from the other guys, but I think the time is slowly coming where we're going to see some green and purple sectors.
Right, yeah, absolutely. 8.5 minutes remaining of this Group B. The track should be now getting to its quickest point that has been so far today, as Lucas Auer comes out of the pit lane. Here's Thomas Preining starting to really hustle the number 91 Manthey Porsche. So getting as close to the wall as he dare. Still weaving though, so he's still not on the push lap at the moment, still leaving it. We're still quite early on in the session in the grand scale of things with 8 minutes remaining. Tom Callender still continuing to put in those purples, so he's really giving it everything while everybody else is trying to build the temperature. He looks like he's pushing hard at 48.806, so 4/10 off the fastest time set by Mauro Engel. But Callender pushing on really early in the session. I'm surprised to see him pushing so hard so early on in the session. It's just a different strategy, isn't it?
Definitely, as we see, for example, Tommy Preining still weaving. Also Lucky Auer, so what's interesting with him, as I said before, he went out of the box straight away, but then he actually peeled in just a lap ago. Maybe they did some bleed on the tire pressure, or that he just wanted to do a drive-through to offset himself with the traffic. Could be any of those, as Tom is still flirting with the walls.
Flirting, yeah, absolutely. There's one word for it. Arjun Maini goes quickest of anybody in Sector 1. So let's keep an eye on this. Best of anybody, Sector 1. Personal best in Sector 2. So is this going to be Arjun's opportunity to get somewhere near the top? Yes, it is. He moves up, Arjun Maini, up to P2. So 48.991. So I think there's probably still more to come from Arjun as well. Nicky Tim, previous winner here, in 6th place at the moment, but just consistent all the way around, getting nice and close to the walls. 6.5 minutes remaining. Arjun Maini continues to improve. 18.1 in Sector 1. So the quickest of anybody in Sector 1. Quicker than Tom Callender has been in Sector 1 so far. So one eye on Arjun Maini in the Ford Mustang with 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Purple in Sector 2 briefly belonged to Arjun Maini, but that is stolen away by Nicky Tim. But Nicky Tim will have success ballast on board for the race later on. So the car not in its race trim at the moment, but Arjun Maini crosses the line. Didn't have a great Sector 3, did he?
No, not yet. As we see Nicky Team going to P1, he definitely did, setting a purple middle and final sector. And we're also going to get close now to the 48.463 from Mauro Engel. And I think with 5 minutes 50 to go, we might actually go faster than that, as we have again a purple Sector 1 of Arjun Maini. And also Nicky Team is pushing on, already on a virtual 48.5, so we're getting close.
Yeah. So, plenty still more to come. 5.5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session for Group B. Arjun Maini was briefly purple in Sector 2. That was stolen away by Nicky Tim. Maini and Tim are the two that we're watching at the moment. Here comes Arjun Maini across the line. He will come. He will stop the clock. He goes quickest at 48.523. Not as quick as Mauro Engel yet, but still 5 minutes to go. So is there still more to come from Arjun Maini? Here's Nicky Tim back to the top of 48.522. So close.
48.8, fastest 48.6. Keep pushing.
So the team encouraging Arjun Maini, well, he's backed out of it at the moment. Is he just trying to find some space, do we reckon?
It could be. It's insane. Only 1,000 separating the two, and also super close to Maro's time. Still 4:45 to go, and as you heard, the engineers are coaching him live on what the lap time is. But with the pace of the lap times improving, it's going to be hard for him to keep up. But still, there's definitely some time left for those guys to improve. As we also see Nicky always taking the very, very shortest line, route to the line, basically. And Arjun is taking a tow, so there's still some left to come. As also Tommy Preining is now getting up to pace and starting to set some fast lap times. So let's see what we also can expect from them.
So Thomas Preining in 8th at the moment, but we know how good he is around here, and he's done many qualifying sessions around here. We always remember that move on René Rast a few years ago into turn 1. As we look at Tom Callender, he really is testing the construction of that Mercedes, isn't he?
Well, they built them strong in Affalterbach because it's still driving around, so hats off to them.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great advert for Mercedes that is. Nicky Tim is a great advert for Aston Martin. 48.522, 1,000th of a second. Well, he was quicker than Arjumani. Now he's gone even quicker. 48.513. He's getting closer to Mauro Engel's time. Can anybody get to that 48.463 in the next 3.5 minutes? Lucas Auer turning the wick up as well. He's up to P3 at 48.655. Mauro Engel looks on nervously at the timing screen. Just keep it cool, style it out. But Nicky Tim goes purple in sector 1. That's not what Mauro Engel wanted to see. So Nicky Tim, the driver who's taken his only ever win in DTM around the streets of the Norisring, but sector 2, he's come up against Tom Callender. That may have slowed his progress somewhat. Less than 3 minutes remaining of this qualifying Group A fastest time, 48.463. Group B on the track at the moment. Nicky Tim, 48.449. So it is a quicker time, Nicky Tim. No, yes, he does. He takes the provisional pole position. So we are now fighting for the pole position row. So at the moment, Nicky Tim steals away that fastest time from Mauro Engel and is now on provisional pole position.
Yeah, crazy. You saw also he took a nice tow from Tom Callender, which definitely helped him for those 200s that he needed. But it's great to see that they're so close to each other. We also see some green sectors from Tom, so he's still pushing on with the bruised Mercedes, but it still seems to have some pace. And let's see if either Arjun Maini or Nicky Tim still have some juice left in the tires.
So it will be a front row start, a P2 start for Mauro Engel. This is now a battle for pole position. And who's getting close here? Is it our provisional pole sitter? Yes, it is. Just a little bit of a kiss up against the wall for Nicky Tim. And to come to you, Aston Martin, nice and wide. That's just extracting everything out of the track. You mentioned about him getting a slipstream from Tom Callender. It's a thin line. One moment, it has to have some team radio.
We have P1, we keep pushing.
P1 indeed, so confirmation to Nicky Tim. It's a thin line between getting a slipstream and being obstructed, isn't it?
Yeah,
so behind Tom Callender, I'm like, is he obstructing him or is he getting an advantage?
Yeah, and you saw also it was just down to Nicky having faster lap times and catching up with him. Then the tow is nice, but if you start planning for it, it could go south very easily. As you see now also with Arjun Maini, who almost goes faster than Nicky Tim, and he just goes 1,000 slower than Mauro Engel, although they do have the left row already. But you saw he was getting close with Bastian Buus, just simply because he was doing faster lap times, and then you catch up so fast that you just naturally get a tow.
Right, well, 40 seconds remaining when the clock strikes 0. Anybody who's on a lap, it will count. This is now confirmed for pole position. At the moment, provisional pole is in the hands of Nicky Tim. He's not improving now, so maybe we've seen the best from him. Arjun Maini hasn't improved either. So at the moment, it is a pole position for Nicky Tim. Row 2 would be Arjun Maini, then Lucas Auer, but we're still maybe more to come. 15 seconds remaining. Here comes Arjen Meiney. Once again, this is not going to promote him up any further. So Meiney stays on row 2. So that would be 3rd on the grid. Up ahead of him, Thomas Preining, the specialist around here, down on row 8. He'll be frustrated by that, won't he?
Yeah, it looks like they're struggling. I spoke to them yesterday, and it was not the easiest of Fridays they had. I'm sure Tommy is pushing the absolute limits, so it looks like this is what they have, which is P8 in the group. Definitely not what they would have liked, but sometimes that's the reality.
Yes, and of course we get to do it all again tomorrow. So checkered flag is out on this Group B for qualifying for the DTM Race 7 of the season. That'll be coming up later on this afternoon, and it will be Nicky Tim who will start on pole position with Mauro Engel alongside him. Mauro, well, he always knew going in that first group it was going to be a long shot. He almost held on to it. It was so close, but in the end there was just the one car that went quicker than him, because Arjen Meiney with a 48.465 didn't quite beat Mauro Engel's time. So it was a close-cut thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and by this we also might know that Mauro was actually maybe one of the faster ones, being able to set such a lap time in Group 1. So we know what to expect from him tomorrow.
Yes.
But for Nicky Tim, it's also great. He's well in the pack for the championship, scoring the podium at the Lausitzring. So it's going to be very interesting. Him also carrying some success ballast for the race. I think we have some ingredients for a good show.
And do you think round a circuit as small as this, that 10 kilos will make much difference?
Well, it's for sure it doesn't help. You know, any kilo always is a small penalty. What does help is there's not a big tire degradation here, so it might be a little easier. But still, if you would ask him, he would prefer not to have 10 kilos in.
You think? Absolutely. Well, it could be worse. It could be Matteo Cairoli, who's got 20 kilos. That's a fair bit of weight to be carrying around with you. And Finn Wiebelhaus will have 5 kilos. Of course, the success ballast they carry in the race, not in quali, just for the race that follows your podium finish. And at the moment, Nicky Tim would be very happy to be carrying 20 kilos into tomorrow's race, because that would mean a win here. But he's done a lot of the hard work getting on pole position, but we've got a long race ahead of us this afternoon, and Mauro Engel, Mr. Consistency, will be looking to beat him into that very tight turn 1, the Grundig turn. But at the moment, the celebrations have come to you racing at Aston Martin. It's the 2nd pole position that Nicky Tim has had this season. He had one last time out at the Lausitzring. He's getting used to it, isn't he, the Viking? So he will be definitely fancying his chances here at the Norisring. So Nicky Tim, the quickest. Arjen Meiney from row 2, and row 2, P3 on the grid. He could still do something from there, couldn't he?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a very interesting race, also with a lot of different manufacturers there. So everyone is going to be fighting each other hard, and that's absolutely what we also want to see. So I think it's going to be quite a nice show.
We're looking forward to it as Nicky Tim receives the Pirelli Pole Position Award. That's a great trophy to have on your mantelpiece, I should think. So Nicky Tim will add that to his very sizable collection of trophies. He kisses the trophy, and he can now think about what he's going to do from that pole position, because confirmed, Nicky Tim, the fastest of anybody today, 48.449 on row 2. P3 on the grid will be Arjen Meiney. P5 on the grid will be Lucas Auer. 7th will be Tom Callender. Good job from Tom. Max Powell will be on row 5. Ahead of Mirko Bortolotti, Timo Glock will be on row 7. Thomas Preining and Kelvin van der Linde, a lot of work to do from there. And Bastian Boos as well. He's going to be on the back row of the grid. Nicky Tim will be... I got the other group round the other way. Nicky Tim on the pole position. Mauro Engel 2nd. Arjen Meiney 3rd. Ben Durr 4th. We got there in the end. Lucas Auer and Jules Goon on. But... Bastian Boos looked to be struggling a bit yesterday and not looking to have the pace today either. Yeah,
it also seems to be quite a bit of a struggle for the Porsches in general, as we see the best placed Porsche in P15.
Yeah.
Might not be ideal, so I think they're all pushing very hard, but today I guess the cards were not really in their favor.
No, absolutely. And but of course, there's a long way to go and a lot of racing to come. Right, let's head back down into the pit lane where Verena is waiting for us.
Yep, and I've got Arjun Maini, who will be starting in P3 in the race later on. So good job, fought hard there. Especially at the Norisring, I mean, positioning is so important because of it's almost impossible to overtake here, right? So are you pretty happy with the P3?
Yeah, I mean, when it's so close, you're always like, oh, what could I have done better? But again, car was great, like it's been the last few weekends, and a good place to start.
And I mean, what would you say, what's the most challenging thing about Norisring, not kissing the walls?
That and of course managing the brakes, because it's difficult to get the brakes cooled here. So that's the biggest challenge in the race. So let's see how we manage it. But I think we made a step to last year, so we'll see.
Absolutely. All right, looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Arjun. Back to you.
Yeah, not kissing the walls. I think in the case of Tom Callan, it wasn't a kiss, it was a snog, wasn't it? He got full-on contact with the wall. And Nicky Tim, well, he did brush the wall, but nothing too dramatic, and he did exactly what he needed to do. We're getting used to this. Nicky Tim at the front, at the Norisring. It's what he seems to love, and on board with him here. Can you just talk us through a little bit what's going on this lap?
For sure. As we enter the chicane of turn 2 now, you have to optimize the radius. There's a very big bump here under braking, and then you really have to flirt with the walls. Also going to the left, flirting with the wall on the exit and preparing for the final corner. As you see, he has a really nice kind of double toe going into turn 4.
Right. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. I know that our broadcast is running short. That was great insight. Thank you so much, Morris. Let's head back down to Verena again.
And the man of the moment is Nicky Tim. Congratulations, fantastic qualifying for you. You'll be starting in pole position. Yeah, best position, because obviously that's what you need the Norisring to hopefully repeat what you did 2 years ago, win here.
Yeah, I just love this place. This is proper rock and roll. I just love it here. Who doesn't dream about driving on a street track without speed limits, just everything you can? As always, touch the wall 2-3 times, but yeah, that gives you the last kick and unbelievable lap. But again, it's so close, so it couldn't go both ways. But again, happy with the family. Pole position again here with Aston is a big smile, yeah.
Big smile, so you're ready for the adrenaline rush for the race later on.
Yeah, 1 hour here is pretty hardcore. But yeah, I hope I can keep the clear air, because brakes, everything is on the limit here. So obviously to be able to have a cold brakes for 1 hour would be nice.
Would be nice. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Nicky. And of course, we're looking forward to the adrenaline rush here later on as well for the race. So you don't want to miss it. See you later. Here are the highlights. Bye-bye.